Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Jai Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradha Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradha Yasodandana 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 Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Gopi Jana Balava Jaya Gopi Jana Balava
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sirupang Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanispari Visabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Reading from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and purport by our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme, text number 2. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Adiyagya katam. Hold on. Adiyagya katam kotra. Dehismin madhusudana. Prayana kale chakatam. Yeyosi niyatatmabhi. Adiyagya katam kotra. Dehismin madhusudana. Prayana kale chakatam. Yeyosi niyatatmabhi. Somebody else?
Adiyagya katam kotra. Deyasmin madhusudana. Prayana kale katam. Deyasi niyatatmavi.
Adiyagya katam kotra.
Adiyagya katam kotra.
Dehesmin madhusudana. Prayana kale katam. Yeyosi
Niyatatmabhi. Mataji. Adiyagya katam kotra. Desmin madhusudana. Prana kale chekatam. Yeyosi niyatatmabhi. Adiyagya katam kotra. Desmin madhusudana. Prana kale chekatam. Word for word meaning Adiyagya, the Lord of sacrifice. Katam, how. Kaha, who. Atra, here. Dehe, in the body. Asmin, this. Madhusudana.
Madhusudana.
O Madhusudana.
O Madhusudana.
Prayana Kale.
Prayana Kale.
At the time of death. Cha. And Katam. How? Nyeya Ashi. You can be known.
You can be known.
Niyata Atmabhi.
Yatha
By the self-controlled.
by self-control.
Translation. Who is the Lord of sacrifice? And how does he live in the body? O Madhusudana. And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? Everybody, please repeat after me. Who is the Lord of sacrifice?
Who is the Lord of sacrifice?
And how does he live in the body?
And how does he live in the body?
O Madhusudana.
O Madhusudana.
And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? Purport. Lord of sacrifice may refer to either Indra or Vishnu. Vishnu is the chief of the primal demigods, including Brahma and Shiva, and Indra is the chief of the administrative demigods. Both Indra and Vishnu are worshipped by yajna performances. But here Arjuna asks who is actually the Lord of yajna, sacrifice, and how the Lord is residing within the body of the living entity. Arjuna addresses the Lord as Madhusudana because Krishna once killed a demon named Madhu. Actually, these questions, which are of the nature of doubts, should not have arisen in the mind of Arjuna, because Arjuna is a Krishna-conscious devotee. Therefore, these doubts are like demons. Since Krishna is so expert in killing demons, Arjuna here addresses him as Madhusudana, so that Krishna might kill the demonic doubts that arise in Arjuna's mind. Now, the word Prayana Kale in this verse is very significant because whatever we do in life will be tested at the time of death. Arjuna is very anxious to know of those who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness. What should be their position at that final moment? At the time of death, all the bodily functions are disrupted and the mind is not in a proper condition. Thus, disturbed by the bodily situation, one may not be able to remember the Supreme Lord. Maharaj Kulashekar, a great devotee, prays, quote, "My dear Lord, just now I am quite healthy, and it is better that I die immediately, so that the swan of my mind can seek entrance at the stem of your lotus feet." Unquote. The metaphor is used because the swan, a bird of the water, takes pleasure in digging into the lotus flowers. Its sporting proclivity is to enter the lotus flower. Maharaj Kulashekar says to the Lord, quote, "Now my mind is undisturbed and I am quite healthy. If I die immediately thinking of your lotus feet, then I'm sure that my performance of your devotional service will become perfect. But if I have to wait for my natural death, then I do not know what will happen, because at that time the bodily functions will be disrupted. My throat will be choked up, and I do not know whether I shall be able to chant your name. Better let me die immediately." unquote. Arjuna questions how a person can fix his mind on Krishna's lotus feet at such a time. Adiyagya katam gotra dehismin madhusudana prayana kali chakatam gheyo si niyatatmabhi. So in this chapter, we'll be hearing about the topic, how at the time of death, one will be able to focus his mind onto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the title says, Attaining the Supreme. Arjuna was inquiring, and this is, as we've heard, this is the last of his inquiry. Adiyagya. Who is the Lord of Sacrifice? The Lord of Sacrifice is like, especially when we conduct this yagya, fire sacrifice, specifically it is meant for Lord Vishnu. Yagyavai Vishnu. The main purpose of sacrifice is to please Lord Vishnu. It's like when we throw these grains, we say swaha. It's like we're feeding the fire, which is like the mouth of Lord Vishnu. So the brahmanas, when they offer these grains, because of their pure nature, then Lord Vishnu accepts. One of the personalities who is Adiyagya is also King Indra. It mentions here. Either it is King Indra or Lord Vishnu. Both actually. They're worshipped by yagya performances because in the administrative function, King Indra is the king of the demigods. Even though Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva consider him to be more superior than King Indra. This is the three personalities, Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva, who are the predominating deities that governs the whole entire universe. Lord Vishnu is the creator. Creator, Lord Brahma. Maintenance is Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva is the destructor. So Arjuna now is inquiring about this sixth term, adiyagya. So he wants to identify, according to the verse here, he wanted to identify and try to understand who is this ultimately being worshipped, the performance of sacrifice. Is it Vishnu or the demigod King Indra? And so it says here, this whoever he is, where in the body does he live? So definitely that is Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu, one of the aspects of Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna is the Paramatma, the super soul within everyone's heart. By understanding that Lord Vishnu is the predominating deity who should be worshipped at the time of sacrifice or yagya, then he'll get the mercy, he'll get the blessings from Lord Vishnu. So Lord of Sacrifice, Adi Yagya. There are six of them. This is the sixth question. Who is the Lord of Yagya, Adi Yagya. In the first verse, Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Brahman, what is Brahman? O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are the fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. So ultimately, the Supreme Lord or Purushottam, the Supreme Person, is meant to be worshipped and to be pleased at the time of yagya, performance or sacrifice. And then Arjuna addresses the Lord as Madhushudana because Krishna once killed a demon named Madhu. Krishna's names are unlimited, and according to his activities, he is being addressed. Like stealer of butter, Makan Chor, or Giri Govardhan, he who lifted Govardhan Hill. Keshava, what's the meaning of Keshava?
Who is
Was-
the destroyer of Kesitama?
No. Keshava means one who has curly hair. Curly hair. It's like in that picture of Shri Ishupanishad. Yes? You've seen the picture of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. There's no difference between Lord Krishna and Lord Vishnu, except that Lord Krishna is the original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Vishnu, in the material world, they are what you call the Purusha avatars. Garbhodakashai Vishnu, Kshirodakashai Vishnu, and Karnadakashai Vishnu. So, Arjuna is asking this question and addressing the Supreme Lord as Madhusudana because Krishna once killed the demon called Madhu, Madhusudana. So these questions are of the nature of doubts. That's why it says that why should we always inquiring? Otherwise, one will be stagnant. What do you mean by stagnant? Not moving, not making advancement, not moving forward. So it is a sign of intelligence for those who are always inquiring. Like if you don't ask, you don't get. There's a saying like that. So a devotee who wants to make further advancement in Krishna consciousness is always asking questions, or questions pertains to the nature of the absolute truth. So these questions are of the nature of doubts. It's like a child. Child who doesn't know anything is always asking, Pita, what is this? Mata, what is this? What is this? Always inquiring. Because lacking of knowledge. So if one wants to cultivate knowledge, then he should always keep on inquiring, which will be beneficial. And these doubts, Prabhupada says here, are like demons. The doubts that we have in our mind should be dispelled so that we can come to the light. And definitely Arjuna, he wants to clear all of his doubts. So he was asking Krishna and he addressed Krishna as Madhusudana, the killer of the demon Madhu. So these doubts are like demons that when one asks the spiritual master, like carrying extra luggage. I remember traveling many, many years since, and I always carry something which sometimes I don't need. I just want to carry them, thinking that I may be using it sometime during the travels. But sometimes never even touch them. I just want to be sure that I have something just in case of emergency. And yeah, while traveling, you can carry two luggage with you, and you can live for months just for having two luggage, two pieces of luggage, and you don't even worry about whatever is left behind. And then when you return, they're still there. You may not even be able to touch them. So these doubts that arises from Arjuna's mind, he wanted it to be dispelled. He wanted to get rid of them. And that's why he addresses Krishna as Madhusudana, so that he may be able to kill that demoniac doubts. And then in the next paragraph, it says, Prayana Keli is very important because whatever we do every day will be tested at the time of death. It's like our life, daily activities is a preparation. It's like when we went to school, we will study for a long time and then there'll be like a quarter exam, middle exam, third quarter exam, and then there is a final exam. The death is considered to be the final examination of one's life. Whatever we do every day will constitute what is going to happen next life. We cannot say that, yes, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to make it at the end of my life and think of Krishna or think of God. But if one's life, the daily activities has been molded far, far away from Lord Krishna or thinking of Krishna every day, because there is this verse, Yam Yam Bhapi Smaram Bhavam Chajante Ante Kalevaram. If one's focus is not of Krishna, there is no guarantee that at the time of death one will attain the supreme abode, the spiritual world. So for those devotees who's molding their lives every day, performing bhakti, performing devotional service, therefore there is a great possibility that one will be able to think of Krishna at the time of death and one will not take birth again in this material world. Yes, whatever we do in life will be tested at the time of death. We experience many devotees leaving one's body here in Vrindavan, because usually at the time of death, it is very, very painful. It says like 60,000 scorpions biting you all at the same time, at the time of death.
I think this is for those who have more the physical attachment to the body.
Yeah, well, this is for everyone.
Those who are the devotees, actually, it may be less.
Huh?
Those who are devotees are not.
Yes. So let me speak. And you can speak when I stop and ask for comments. Definitely there is pain. But they are not, the devotees, yes, they're not able to feel that. It's like when Prabhupada left his body, or before leaving one's body, the Kaviraj was so surprised. A devotee can tolerate all of this. But 60,000 scorpions biting all at the same time. And if there's one ant or mosquito bit you, you're so disturbed. Isn't it?
Yes.
So the great tolerance is there at the time of death. And I observe many devotees who let their bodies here in Vrindavan, that typically a person who is about to die is full of fear because the attachment to the body is so heavy, so much that they don't want to live their body, but they'll be forced and they'll be dragged, especially the non devotees, they'll be dragged by the agents of Yamaraj, the Yamadutas. And they look very, very gruesome. They look very fierce, fearful, so fearful that for the non devotees, they will be in fear, they'll be crying, they'll be passing stool and urine. This is a typical case at the time of death. But devotees, no, they seems to be like having a sweet smile on their faces. You will not see any fear. You will not see them crying in tears because of the pain. Yes. I just clearly remember my mother also, because I was there last few moments of her passing away. I never see her face being fearful. I never see her being disturbed. I did not see her like really like so much in pain. I had Prabhupada's singing of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and I was there besides her, holding her in my arms, and it's quite an experience. And all of us will face that also one day. She has very clear consciousness, you may say. It's like nothing to worry about. Usually, a materialist, they don't want to die, and they will ask the doctor, I will give you everything, anything. Just give me a few more years to live. At least one more year or 2 more years, and I'll give you lakhs and lakhs of rupees. My life has not completed yet. I still have many things to fulfill. I still have to have my daughter be married, or my children are still young. They still have to be educated, and so on and so forth. They may be thinking, oh, I think I have not made enough money for them to survive for the rest of their life. It's like I was in the Philippines recently, and there is this devotee family. They're always busy making money. And whenever I go visit them, they're so busy they don't have time to see me. I will spend some days at their place, a temple, and no, I will not even see them, not until before I leave, like 1 hour before I leave, and everyone will say, Maharaj, please give me your blessings. Please give us your blessings. And the blessings will be given to anyone, not even from me, from Krishna, if we are a little bit more concerned or prioritizing ourselves in the process of bhakti. So I told the mother, Mataji, you have enough money for the rest of your life. Why are you struggling so much day after day? You're always busy. Just like we read this morning, Mangalartik time. You remember? Yeah, that if you're only into business and you don't think of Krishna, then everything is just a waste of time. Srama hi eva kevalam. One will misuse one's human form of life. So it's not just all about becoming materially opulent. One should be spiritually wealthy. That at the time of death, one is prepared. One will be able to think of Krishna at the time of death. That is the purpose of human form of life. Otherwise, we'll misuse this human form of life, and we are not so sure what's going to happen to us. Prabhupada will always say that, is there any guarantee that next life, at least you can be another form in human species, in the 400,000 species of life? Is there any guarantee? No guarantee. But for the devotees of the Supreme Lord, yes, they'll be able to control their senses. So whatever we're doing right now, we're preparing for our next life. And when we are ready to take birth in a womb of a different mother, not necessarily human form of life. It could be lower species of life, like cats and dogs, or even the demigods, having a demigod's body. Then we will, and we train ourselves to think of Krishna. Actually, 24 hours. We should be thinking of Krishna because we don't know. We're not sure when we will expire. We know the time of our taking birth. Yes, it's like if you ask someone, "What is your birth of that?" They easily say, "Oh, I took birth in February something, 1960 something," right? But then you can ask him again, "My dear sir, can you tell me when are you going to die?" But he say, "I'm sorry, I'm not sure when. It could be next 10 years or 5 years or 1 year. It could be next week. It could be tomorrow. No one can tell. Right? We know our date of being produced or took birth from the womb of our mother, but we don't know when will be our last breath. So that is the most important part of our life. So the whole life, we're preparing only for the end of our life. So that is very, very important. That's why it says here, Prabhupada mentions the prayer of Kinkula Shekhar, that he says, "My dear Lord, again, just now I'm quite healthy and it's better that I die immediately so that the swan of my mind can seek entrance at the stem of your lotus feet." Yeah, well, better we die now, isn't it? Now that we're still able to think of Krishna. Is there any guarantee that we'll be able to think of Krishna at the time of death? Mm. Not guaranteed. So it says here, the metaphor is used because the swan, a bird of the water, takes pleasure in digging the lotus flower. Its sporting proclivity is to enter the lotus. But if the mind is this, it's not possible also to think of Krishna. The mind is peaceful. How the mind can be peaceful? One should control one's senses and only thinking of the lotus feet of the. Then one can rest assured that one will attain perfection. But if I have to wait for my natural death, then I do not know what will happen. See, he's putting himself in a position of a non-devotee, because Krishna is obliged to his devotee. He will never forget his devotee. That Krishna will make sure that a devotee who is sincere, endeavoring all of his life to be Krishna conscious, and he may not be able to attain like 100% Krishna conscious. So he says in the Bhagavad Gita also, what? I carry what they lack and I provide what they don't have. Yes? So, guaranteed, Krishna will never forget his devotee, that at the time of death, he'll make sure that the devotee will think of him. And usually, a devotee will be surrounded by other devotees at the time of death, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, we should pray like that to the Supreme Lord that somehow, upon leaving this body, we'll be also surrounded by devotees that will make us remember Lord. And for those who will live their body in Vrindavan or who left their bodies in Vrindavan, then guarantee that they reach the final destination, spiritual world. As Prabhupada says, work now, samadhi later. So Vrindavan is meant for samadhi. That means samadhi means focus, absorb. But then again, everywhere could be Vrindavan. Italy can be Vrindavan also. Vancouver can be Vrindavan. Philippines can be Vrindavan. France can be Vrindavan. Paris can be Vrindavan. Tokyo, New York. If one is thinking of Krishna 24 hours. Because Vrindavan is within everyone's heart. But here is easier to think of Krishna than in those places that we mentioned. And he'll make sure also that one will chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra or be able to receive the mercy and blessings by other devotees chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra upon one's departure. So we should pray in that way. It's difficult to think of Krishna. Mentions here, the voice will be choked up. This is everyone. It's going to happen. So we don't know whether we'll be able to chant the holy name of the Lord at the time of death. So better let me die immediately. Of course, we don't want that also at the same time. We want to live as long as possible so that we'll be able to serve the devotees, the Supreme Lord. The longer we able to serve, then there's a great possibility that we'll be able to think of Lord Krishna also at the time of death. So that is the impetus for us to say, live longer. Try to live longer, to serve more. And some devotees who are very advanced, they will say, oh, I don't mind taking birth even in hellish planets. Next life. Or even Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, I don't mind taking birth as a dog. As long as I live in the association of devotees. Because he will be hearing the holy name. He'll be fed with Mahaprasad. And eventually there's no difference. He's also be able to go back home, back to Godhead upon once leaving the body. So this just starting the chapter where how we can attain the Supreme. How can I think of you at the time of death? Hare Krishna. Okay, we stop here. Any question or comment on this verse? Yes, Prabhu.
Thanks for all the class. I like, as you said, living in one who leaves the body in Vrindavan goes to Golok Vrindavan.
Ah, yes.
But does it mean that whoever, like anybody who leaves the body in Vrindavan, they have to go to Golok?
Even the animals, Prabhupada says, the animals who live in Vrindavan, this is their last life. Because of their previous life, they did commit some offense or some sins that they took birth in this lower form, like the monkeys here. This is their last life. The dogs, the pigs, the trees, the plants, the animals, the insects, the, everyone. Few nights, they can get so much benefit that somehow Krishna will give them an opportunity to take to Krishna consciousness, because not everyone have that opportunity to stay in Vrindavan, even for a visit of 3 nights. Prabhupada says one should visit Vrindavan no more than 3 nights, because one can also be offensive while here, thinking that this is an ordinary place. Externally, we may look like, oh, to my liking. For those who live in the cities, how can I live here? Look, seemingly like, polluted, so much noise. But this is external. Prabhupada says there is like a thin film that you don't really see the real Vrindavan, especially for the intruders. Vrindavan, everyone practically is trying to exploit, trying to make money for their own benefit. But for those who came here and made determination, they become determined to give up their loved ones, so-called friends and loved ones, then Krishna will make arrangements for them to attain the final destination, to attain the Supreme. Yeah, we've heard stories, some devotees, they woke up for Mangalarti, they're on the way here, they had heart attack. There was one devotee, Kartik time, he was just walking towards the temple to have darshan of the deities, and he left his body, he went back home, back to Godhead. We had his body waiting for some time near gate number 3. The opposite MBT. His body has been lying there because we have to make some arrangements and preparations for the last rites. Some devotees, they're doing parikrama, they left their body, go back home, back to Godhead. But what about those who left their bodies in Kumbh Mela? At least 30 yatris left their bodies. They were sleeping near the side of the roadside, and millions of people came. They were trampled. They more likely they went back to Godhead also. They're right there, holy place, Prayagraj. And maybe they just took a bath also, snan in the Sangam. So more likely they're thinking of Vishnu, Krishna. They're very fortunate. But for those who were left behind, their family members, they're all crying. I've seen in the video, they were all like, very devastated. There's so much in anguish. Some of them, they cannot even found where they are. So Vrindavan is a very special place. We're here because we're here for service. Hopefully one day Krishna will shower his blessings upon us. Here in Vrindavan, you only have two things to do. Either you want to make money or you want to go back home, back to Godhead. There's nothing in between. Yeah? It says that one should not come to the holy place for the purpose of making money. It is an offense. You can go to Delhi or you can go to Agra. You can go to, Mathura is still the holy town. You can go somewhere else to do that. Either you cheat or you tell the truth. There's nothing in between here. And telling lies, be untruthful, there's no end to that. You just keep going. And you think that, I'm justifying what I'm doing here. No. And I know some devotees are like that. Hare Krishna. They'll be exposed. You cannot hide. Lower species of life. A lot of suffering. See, we put so much clothes because of cold. And they don't wear anything. Always hungry. They go back to Godhead. It's not the same monkey in New York or in Manila. No. But we don't want to be in that situation. Yeah? Any other points or comment?
Overcome the fear of death. Like normally, very fearful. Like always, when I think of my family leaving the bodies, but I don't think of myself leaving the body. normally, when the thoughts come in my mind, I think of somebody of their near one is leaving the body. Like and never I think I want to leave it.
Yeah.
Because
That is the most amazing thing, isn't it?
yes.
So Bhagavatam says that we should think as soon as we wake up in the morning, we should meditate that this could be my last day. So I better do the best, whatever I can, to be Krishna conscious today. And again, it is easier in Vrindavan. If you are in Tondo or Caloocan, as cities in Manila, where really hellish. But there are devotees there also. They're trying to become Krishna conscious. So I really admire them. They're very, very sincere. So again, it doesn't matter where we are. But you can be in big cities, and you can also be in Vrindavan. You can be. It's like Prabhupada when he was in New York. He says, "I'm always thinking of Vrindavan." Yeah, he's always thinking of Vrindavan. He's there. So pure devotee, actually, he carries Vrindavan with him wherever he goes. But for those who are fortunate enough to have this opportunity, the privilege to live in Vrindavan, how glorious. So we stop here. Thank you all very much for your kind attention.
Yeah.
Going back to Godhead Gate. Jai Gaur Shitanath Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hari. Hari Hari.